WJL Show. My name is Bill, and this
I'm,
here is Sarah,
yep.
and she is my guest today. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the role of poetry in describing that which cannot be described. And so Sarah's very uncomfortable, so she is going to read her poems first, and then I'm going to read from some of my first stuff. This is like a whole book. This is like from very early on in my poetry writing and so forth. And this is stuff from like 1995. It's like, and it has its own little book that because I thought it was such great stuff at that time that it needed to be in its own book, and I created my own book for it,
That's
and uh,
awesome.
and then I have in here the very first one of these poems that I wrote. But oftentimes when you write "Welcome Rosie the Raspberry," but oftentimes when you write stuff and and it's like the first time stuff like this comes out of you kind of disassociate yourself from it, and it seems like, oh, somebody else wrote that, and that's sometimes how that felt. But
Hmm.
I don't know that you if you've had that experience when you've written of this stuff comes out of you, and then it's like, well, where did that come from? I didn't write that. Some other bloke wrote that. It must have been an angel or whatever, or but
Yeah.
it's just that there are all these different levels of ourself that we just don't know about because we go around on autopilot most of the time. And anyway, so we'll let you go first for yours so you can break through your nervousness, and there is nobody watching, so you don't have to worry about being nervous about that.
Okay. Well, I just want to preface this by saying, well, as I mentioned, you Bill backstage. I haven't written a poem in years, so this is uh, it was surprising to me to be writing poetry again. So, and it was fun. It was a fun activity. But I also want to say that I don't think I have ever in my entire life read one of my poems out loud in front of another person. I
Oh,
could not. I
that's
could never do it. I could never bring myself to do it. I was so just my social anxiety or whatever. Like I could never do it. So
hmm.
this is gonna maybe be the first time I've ever read a poem of mine in front of somebody and live on YouTube. So this is like, good job, Sarah. Yay. I'm kind of proud of myself, but also, well, it's not. I also want to say it's not great poetry. The rhyming is, some of it doesn't rhyme and some of it kind of rhymes, but it's not like you know what I mean? Like I could probably
Well,
tweak the rhymes and
poetry
stuff, but
doesn't have to rhyme
well, I know,
because
but I, I
because
I prefer to rhyme. I like rhyming, but
yeah,
I just
his father,
I'm a
yeah.
little rusty because I haven't written for so many years that
Hmm.
yeah, it didn't really, it was a little tricky, but oh, I don't know, I don't want to do it.
Oh, go ahead, go
No,
ahead. There's nobody watching. Don't worry,
there's
nobody's
not
watching.
18 people watching. No,
No,
okay.
it's down. It's down to zero again. It's fine.
Oh, Bill, you're the best. Also, like I don't know what's going on in my throat, but I sound like I'm under the weather.
You
My voice sounds
sound
weird
you
today.
sound just fine.
I
You
sound
sound
different though. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. Okay, I have four shorter poems to read.
okay.
They're all written in the last 2 weeks. All right. So the first one is about it's about me being an emotional alchemist, and it's called Baptism by Tears. I've cried enough tears to flood the earth for years, but God promised to refrain. So instead my tears have cleansed the hearts of men, and their sins have been washed away. That's the end of that one.
Oh,
I told you they're short.
good. Yeah.
All
And
right.
it has a nice word rhythms on it too.
Yeah, that one was all right. That might be my best one actually. Maybe, well, whatever. Okay, and then the next one's called Baptism by Fire. A secret place, the Sacred Heart, kept hidden in the dark, until the moment is right when the flames of the holy fire ignite. Born again with a heart of light, all shadows will burn away, a brand new life, a brand new day. That's the end of that one. Should I just keep going or?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, this one is real short. This one's called It's Going Down. I am Saturn, you are the moon, and the matrix betwixt us shall fall. That's the end of that one.
Hmm. I am Saturn. You are the moon. The matrix between
Betwixt
us,
betwixt us.
betwixt us shall fall.
Mhm.
So so we're trapped in the matrix, and all of those illusions will fall away, and then you will become the moon, and I will become Saturn.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's about, well, my sun sign is Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. That's how I got the idea. That's how this poem started.
I see.
And, yeah, and then it's about well, there's a thing called the Saturn Moon Matrix, and,
Mm-hmm.
that's, what I believe is what, the artificial matrix that Satan has created for the world, and that's what we're, like, trapped inside of, kind of, like, it's overlaid. What I was shown is it's overlaid over the natural, like,
Mm-hmm.
matrix made by God, like the creatrix or the natural
Oh,
matrix.
so
So
that
it was, like,
that
overlaid artificially, and, like, it has something to do with, like, Saturn. I don't really understand it fully, but it's something to do with Saturn and the moon, and they're, like, I don't know. That's
well,
from another one.
that's an idea that comes out of
That's where I
out
got
of
the idea
some of
from.
the Gnostics believe that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, not all of them, but some of them did.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, that's that was that one. Okay. And then
Did
I
you
have
have
one more.
one
One more,
more?
and
Okay.
then I'll be and this one is about, how I learned I was a mystic. And this one is called Mother Mary. In the blink of an eye, she was standing right in front of me. She didn't speak a word, just emanated divine love like I had never felt before. What was that all about, I wondered, and went about my life. Until 30 years later, she appeared again. This time she spoke. You have always been a mystic, she said with a smile. And then, in an instant, it all made sense.
Hmm.
That one,
Interesting.
that one didn't rhyme at all.
Well, they don't have to rhyme because because Father Walt Whitman was the first that we know of that wrote free verse poetry.
Oh, really? Okay.
And yeah, I'm sure there were some others that did it
I like his
did it
poetry.
before that that did that, but um so anyway, I have this book has some pictures in it. I was like showing you here. This if you can see, this is me.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I was a kid. He's like 26 years old, 25, 26.
Meditating.
Yeah, well, I was just posing. We were on Mount Sinai. We had
Oh,
gone to
nice.
Israel, and I just sat there, and somebody snapped that picture. I have that picture someplace. I was like thinking of trying to find it, but I couldn't really find anything. And I was like looking for this, and I had found it, and then I couldn't remember where I found it at, and then I was like, hey, gosh, I wonder where is that book at? I had other copies of it, but then just like 20 minutes ago, I found it again. And oh yeah, good, I found it. And so we're gonna want to use that. So
Nice.
there were a few other poems that I had written before this time, but this was the very first poem I wrote. It was in October 1994. October 1994. Very simple. Every day is beautiful upon this tiny rock. Every day is beautiful as long as you are in its flock. Freedom follows as you fly free in the breath of life. It blows like a fierce wind through everything once you realize. And then I'll just read a couple more, and then I'll read some other ones that are like way better, way better. Sometimes I see a bird way out in the sky. When I turn to look, nothing is there. Perhaps I've seen the reflection of a bird that once flew these skies. Behind every reflection, there is something real. When you look into a mirror, which image is real? When you look at the reflection, you only see one faucet. The rest is hidden in the real. When you read a book, you are reading a reflection of a real thing that is trapped inside the human mind. The Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, all these books are reflections of a real thing trying to be expressed. This tree, this bird, this rock, this body, this universe. All these things are reflections of the real. Everything is a reflection, everything that we see. Behind every reflection, there exists something real. Sometimes I feel a presence out of the corner of my eye. When I turn to look, nothing is there. Perhaps I have felt the reflection of someone who is really here. That wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be, but it's still pretty bad.
I like it. I think it's so great that you have all your old poetry because mine. I think I threw away at one point. I think I threw away all my poetry from when I was a kid because I thought it was
Yeah.
trash, and I think I threw it away. And then I don't know what happened to my poetry from high school, but I don't think I have that anymore either. So unfortunately, I don't really have much of my poetry left. So I have to write
Well,
new.
I'm kind of a. If you saw the inside of my house, then you'd probably know why I have stuff from the past. But I thought while we're here, I'm going to read a piece of a poem that was probably written about 3,000 years ago.
Okay.
And a piece of that. Now, this poem, of course, isn't of one of those where you are looking at some mystic trying to describe what can't be described. It was just literally this. That was the language that it was written in. It was written on stone tablets. They found it. They think it's like between 3,000 and 3,500 years ago. They're not sure because it's very hard to date stone. And
Yeah.
this is, if you were in college, you might read this book. You might get this in college, in like a, a Western civilization class. And so if you have your general education credits, one of those courses would have literature that came through time, and that's usually when the person is first introduced to the Epic of Gilgamesh, and it might be even like one of the first ones that's in there of in that. And if you've never read it or listened to it, it's really
I
worth
don't think I ever have.
it's really worth it because it's part of it's kind of a foundational story. It's a foundational story. I weep for Enkidu, my friend, bitterly moaning like a woman mourning. I weep for my brother, O Enkidu, my brother. You were the axe at my side, my hand's strength, the sword in my belt. The shield before me, a glorious robe, my fairest ornament. An evil fate has robbed me. The wild ass and the gazelle that were father and mother, all long-tailed creatures that nourished you, weep for you. All the wild things of the plain and pastures, the paths that you loved in the forest of cedars, night and day murmur like the great ones of strong-walled Uruk, weep for you. Let the finger of blessing be stretched out in the morning. Enkidu, young brother, hark! There is an echo through all the country like a mother mourning. Weep all the paths were walked together, and the beasts we hunted, the bear and hyena, the tiger and panther, leopard and lion, the stag and ibex, the bull and the doe, the river along whose banks we used to walk, weeps for you. And then it goes on from there. But that's like, it's an English translation of something from the past. And what else do we have in here?
What language is that originally written in?
Cuneiform, I think.
Oh,
Um,
No
It
fun.
was kind of from Uruk. So you're looking at like Turkey. You're looking at Turkey is where
Yep.
that modern day Turkey where that was from. And like so this being a stone cutout of a Gilgamesh or of Enkidu. And as the story goes with Enkidu, and Enkidu was a wild man, and then you had the people in the city who were complaining to King Gilgamesh about this Enkidu character who was, you know, raiding their crops and eating their vegetables and the fruits, or was scattering their animals or whatever. And so then um, Gilgamesh goes to Ishtar, I think it was, and asks Ishtar, how do we solve this problem? And then Ishtar said, well, what you do is you you find out where Enkidu goes every day, and then you put a woman out there, and then Enkidu will get lured in by the woman, and then after a week or two, he'll forget all about those animals that he runs free with. Well, so anyway, those they do that. They put the woman out there, and Enkidu has a great time, and he loses his hair, and then he tries to go back to the animals, but they don't have anything to do with him because he doesn't smell like an animal anymore. Now he smells like a human. And so then Enkidu goes off and he meets with Gilgamesh, and then they go on this adventure. They do wars together. They do all kinds of things, and then the world ends. The world ends. A great flood comes, and then I think Gilgamesh is the only one that survives. Enkidu does not, and then the world starts over again.
Hmm,
And that's kind of the story of Gilgamesh. And
that's
and
interesting.
but yeah. Now I'm going to read a poem from. This is a the first English translation of this poet was in the 1800s, and it was put into Victorian English. And then this scholar and historian Robert Bly, he took the poetry and then he updated it. And this is like this Kabir guy is a really interesting character. And Kabir was I think Kabir was an ascended master who came and was born in, and he came in, and where what Kabir was he came from a mixed family of both of Muslim and Hindu, and so he had exhibited in his life, of course, through the legend, he exhibited all these priest-like skills, the knowledge and everything. But then when he goes to the priest, they say they don't want anything to do with him because he's not of a Brahmin caste. He's just a poor person, and so there were these sayings of uh, of of Kabir that were written down by somebody, and then after Kabir died, he became like a saint to both Islam and to both to Islam and into the Hindu. So he's a Hindu Islamic saint, and he comes, but they kind of fight over him because he's this or he's that, but that was kind of my understanding. And so Kabir is one of those thinkers that I had been kind of formative to a lot of my ideas and so forth. And I'll just read this one. And what Robert Bly did is he took these sayings, these poems that had been translated from Sanskrit into English, but then when they were originally, they did it in a rhyming way. They did it in Victorian English, and it was very unaccessible. So if you were, I have that book someplace, but if you were to go read it, it may not make any sense at all. And so Robert Bly did his academic magic, and he turned it into this. And then when he performed these poems, he did it with a sitar in the background, and so it was really all very, very hippie-ish in the '60s sort of a way. If you can just kind of imagine that, if you were
Mhm.
in a room someplace and in a party, or I think they call them salons, and then Robert Bly shows up, and then there are these other intellectuals, and then somebody comes in with their sitar, and then so he sits there and he kind of reads these, and he's got a very interesting voice, and anyway, so Robert Bly, it's time to put up a love swing. Tie the body, then tie the mind, so that they swing between the arms of the secret one you love. Bring the water that falls from the clouds to your eyes, and cover yourself inside entirely with the shadow of night. Bring your face up close to his ear, then talk only about what you want deeply to happen. Kabir says, listen to me, bring the shape, face, and odor of the Holy One inside of you. This is one of my favorites here. There is nothing but water in the holy pools. I know. I have been swimming in them. All the gods sculpted of wood or ivory can't say a word. I know. I have been crying out to them. The sacred books of the East are nothing but words. I looked through their covers one day sideways. What Kabir talks of is only what he has lived through. If you have not lived through something, it is not true. And I kind of have like that. I've been, thinking about that, that in the sense of experience, of gnosis, of knowledge, of word, that these concepts, when they were used, they were kind of the same concept, experience, gnosis, word, but they weren't talking about physical words. They weren't talking about physical words. They weren't talking about scriptures. They were talking about something deeper that that is experienced, and then from that, people have tried to describe what that experience and what that word is. And so when Kabir says, if you haven't lived through it, it's not true. And that's actually true of a lot of different things. You know, many people who are living through wars and so forth right now, and they live through something that when they come out the backside of it, they have no idea what it is. They know now what it means. But for those of us looking in on that, we haven't the foggiest clue what that is like. You know,
Mhm.
to have that experience, and whether you would even want that experience, and most people wouldn't want that experience, but yet we inflict that experience on others. And why do we do that? You know,
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
yeah.
It's interesting that you're talking about the word, and I was just thinking earlier today about, and I don't even know why this popped in my head, but maybe I was picking up on what you were thinking earlier or something. But I was thinking about, in the Bible in Genesis, and it says, in the beginning, God. I don't remember what it says exactly, but there it says like God is the Word, right? Is that what it says?
That
Something like
actually
that.
says that in the Gospel of John. It says
Oh, okay.
in John's Gospel. What in the
Yeah, and I
Genesis
was thinking
story, it
that.
talks about light. It talks about a light. In the beginning, there was the light,
Okay.
and so that light. I think then we would add another word in there. You have light, you have word, you have gnosis, knowledge, and you have experience. And mystics experience things, and they you don't necessarily have words for that. And so,
Mhm.
there's different types of experience. I probably will talk about this tomorrow night on a little bit. Someone had mentioned the concept of spiritual psychosis, and there is some of that when you have these experiences of having this a dissociative state, or you feel separated from your body, and your body's here, but you're over there, and you experience these different realities of being disassociated. But then you also do get that sense of dissociated state when very, very traumatic things happen to you. You
Mhm.
know, when things that you have no control over, or massive anxiety, or whatever, um and those kinds of things, and where it really kind of those things like really happen, and just things that where your free will is completely taken away from you, and somebody takes your free will away from you, and puts you into a place that you do not want to be, and and that, and then in that sense, you will gain something of a disassociated state. You'll be over there off in your own little place, while your body is doing things that you don't want it to do, under the control of somebody else. And that's a sense of a disassociated state from, you know
Yeah, I know that.
you know
Mhm. Yeah, trauma can do that for
from
sure.
trauma. Yes, trauma. Exactly. Extreme trauma will do that. I mean, it's a really a deep kind of a top. It's a deep topic, and but without really having done a whole lot of research in advance, it's kind of hard to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I have this thing from the past. This jar here, welcome Maria, has things and relics in it that when I went to Israel in 1995, including the peanuts that I had on the airplane. I saved the whole package and everything. I haven't opened it up, but I occasionally I open up this thing, and there's a spoon when we played the spoon game, and
Oh, I used to do that. Yeah, yeah.
spoon game. That was it.
I can do that.
It yeah, and then I have a shower. I have a bar of soap from this Sun Hotel. Sun Hotel, in the basement, it had a disco hall called the Sodom's Disco Hall, and
Oh,
and it was on the sea of the sea of the Dead Sea. And then I have a single Egyptian pound for our 3 days that
oh,
we spent in Israel, or not Israel, but Egypt, because we went to go and to go hike up Mount Moses. We had to go into Egypt,
okay.
and then this was a box of matches. There's no matches left in it, because that was during the time that I smoked cigarettes, and the cigarettes were way cheaper in Israel than they were here. You
Oh,
know, and then there is a shower cap in here. Um, Everything
that's really
smells
cool.
like,
That's really cool that you did that, Bill. I never would have thought to take a jar and put all my souvenirs from something in a one jar like that. That's a really cool
yeah.
idea.
But here also is some actual matches from that Sun Hotel.
Yeah, remember when
Um,
everyone used to give out matchbooks, like all the
yeah, they
restaurants and bars and stuff.
they
Nobody does
did,
that
they
anymore.
did.
Yeah.
Now there was something else that they had very unique. These tear catchers, they had these at like different holy
Oh,
sites. So when you go to a holy site, and then you have a religious experience, and you start crying, you can. So you haven't seen matches in years, Maria. So you can go capture your tears, and then these little ceramic things, put them in there, and then you
oh,
can leave them as offerings on that. So this is like something that
wow.
was like I found all over Israel, especially in Jerusalem, in the
Well,
different
those are
holy
cool.
sites. They have these little tear catchers. It's like
I
you know,
could use a few of those myself.
you could use a few of those. Then I got some
I've never even
rocks.
heard of those before. I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah, everything smells like that soap. Everything smells perfume
Yeah,
like, and
soap.
this.
Yeah, that's nice. That probably makes everything smell
Yeah,
good.
this even this rock smells. This I got on the out of the, off the Mediterranean,
Nice.
and
That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, all these little
Really cool
cool little
stuff.
relics.
Yeah.
Not everything is from there. There are some things I threw in here, but here I did have a. This was a Coca-Cola bottle that's
Oh,
written in Arabic.
yeah. Cool. That's a cool thing
Yeah,
to say.
yeah, lots of different things, and then there's money, some beads. Not everything is from there. I mean, this is some kind of a perfume. I must have bought this afterwards.
Hmm,
Um,
like a
I think that's what everything. That's what I
perfume
think
oil.
that that's what everything smells like in here. Is
Yeah, I
that?
bet. Yeah, perfume
Yeah,
oil is pretty strong. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah. I don't
potent.
think it was some kind of an oil. I don't think it was patchouli oil. And anyways, I'm gonna go read from one of my papers that I wrote.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. How much of it can I read? I need to put these back. I have to put these stuff back so nothing. They don't get like misplaced.
Yeah.
If you don't put things back, then they get misplaced, and next thing you know, you lose them.
Yep.
And they walk right out the door in the trash. I said, "What's this coin doing? Oh, why is it? Oh, it's not even it's like, oh, that's a shekel. Okay, so this here is from the summer of '97. Oh, look at that. I'll read some of. I'll read some of it. Yeah, this is a short paper. So I haven't really read this. I've never read this out loud before, just like you. And so this is the paper is what does it mean to know? And for foundations of something. This was when I went to welcome Care Bear. You were looking at the wrong channel. So you're looking at the fighting tonight. Okay, yeah, no, you're on the right channel now, Karen. Okay, so this was a paper I wrote in '97. That's like what 30 years ago almost. 29 years ago. Look to the space, the silence between thoughts, the little gap of nothingness or of somethingness. There one shall glimpse the ultimate reality, truth of God. You were 17 in '97. Look within this small little space and learn who I am. Let's see, what did I write here? Let me just read it. I'll just read it. What does it mean to know truth? People throughout the ages have spent their entire lives in pursuit of truth. Perhaps truth in its ultimate sense can never be known, but from what can be gleaned from the work of the past, knowledge springs forth within. Truth can be defined as a transcendent reality that springs forth from within our inmost being. It says in Psalms, "Be still and know that I am God." Truth is found in the silence or emptiness of our souls. In Hinduism, truth is glimpsed in the space between our thoughts. The poet Kabir describes it as the breath within the breath. It is a place or state of being that no words can adequately describe. Truth is infinite and we are finite. Thus, we can make approximations to its nature, but never know truth in its ultimate sense. The metaphor of five blind people describing an elephant is a good analogy to humans' search for truth. Each person believes that they have sole rights to the truth based upon the leg, the trunk, the tusk, the tail, or the ear that they hold in their hands. These blind people never fully realize that the individual parts in their hands do not constitute the whole truth, but only one aspect of the truth. Kabir, a 15th century Muslim Hindu poet, speaks a lot about knowledge and truth. Kabir was reactionary. He spoke out against the religious world of his day, which took an aesthetic and legalistic approach to truth and knowledge. Kabir writes that truth is more than just words and phrases of a teacher that we toss around inside our head. Truth is lived and experienced. How can one know how to love if they have never been loved themselves? Kabir says, suppose you scrub your ethical skin until it shines, but inside there is no music. Then what? Muhammad's sun pours over words and points out this and that, but if his chest is not soaked dark with love, then what? For Kabir, knowledge comes from or is expressed in our innermost being. You know that the seed is inside the horse chestnut tree. Muhammad knew the truth because he lived it, but all his sons knew of this truth that was what he had learned from his father's teachings. Furthermore, Kabir taught that the idols people prayed to and worshiped were useless chunks of wood or ivory. Kabir said the same of the holy books. There is nothing but water in the holy bathing places, and I know that they are useless because I have bathed in them. The images are all lifeless, they cannot speak. I know I have cried aloud to them. The Purana and the Koran were mere words. Lifting up the curtain, I have seen. Kabir gives utterance to these words of experience, and he knows very well all other things are untrue. The flaw of Kabir's people is they forgot how to trust. Knowledge is not based upon memorizing the text of holy books, but on trusting inside to lead them to truth. Clearly, Kabir was against the external observance of religion because he did not believe that anyone could experience God in this way or the truth. This is the this is evident in his poetry. And on the other hand, we have Howard Thurman explains in his lecture Mysticism and Experience of Love the necessity of imagination. We are accustomed to thinking of the imagination as a useful tool in the hands of an artist, as he reproduces in various forms that which he sees beyond the rim of fact that circles his round. There are times when the imagination is regarded as a delightful and often whimsical characteristic of what we are pleased to call the childish mind. But the place where the imagination shows its greatest powers as the angelos, the messenger of God, is in the miracle which it creates. When one man standing in his place is able, while remaining there, to put himself in another man's place, to send his imagination forth, to establish a beachhead in another man's spirit, and from that vantage point, so to blend with other landscapes that which he sees and feels is authentic. That is the great adventure in human relations, the degree to which our imagination becomes the angelos of God. We ourselves may become his instruments. And so God created us with imagination so that we may learn how to understand and have compassion for others rather than actually having to live through the same event for it to be true. We can use our imaginations, expanding upon what we have experienced to understand truth as others perceive it. In addition, it is through our creativity that we can best do God's work. Dr. Palmer describes our understanding of truth as a relationship. We must become betrothed to truth in order to begin to have any knowledge or understanding of it. Betrothal denotes an intimate relationship which must become intimate with seeking the truth in the same manner that we become intimate with someone who will become a spouse. If this relationship is not approached intimately, it will never work. It is difficult to prove whether or not an inner truth or knowledge really exists. This is where faith comes in. As Kabir describes in his poetry, unless one has lived through something, it is not true. One cannot see truth unless one actually believes and experiences it. Thurman believes that the seat of knowledge stems from our imagination. Here we can experience God's truth and the truth of others as well. Still, knowledge or truth can only be known from within. Therefore, a person can have lots of neat facts on God or the Bible floating about in their heads, but unless they believe and know or believe and experience in their hearts, they can never really know God. One can have all the perceived right doctrines and all the knowledge in the world, but as Palmer experienced, if one does not know the truth in their inmost being and be betrothed to it, knowledge is worthless. Finally, faith is a relationship built upon trust, not simply facts. Kabir knew this, as did Howard Thurman and Parker Palmer too. Look, I got an A minus on this paper. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
well,
good.
that was a,
Yeah.
it was a graduate level writing class that was required to that degree program that I was in, and I remember I was like at one time I was reading 5,000 pages a month, and
Oh,
I was writing like 50 pages of papers every month as well from the different classes I was taking, 50 or 60 each class had like
wow.
every 2 weeks you did a 20-page paper, and you had three classes. That's every 2 weeks you did 60 pages of paper that you're writing. Now,
That's crazy.
one of the things that I had remembered was that I think that was Dr. Anderson. I guess it was that you until you can write, you can't think, and that was what the so those are these are the things that you have pondered. Well, thank you. So that was like the first time I've read that out loud. Now I hadn't read over my papers. I probably read over them back in the day, but this one here was a this is a paper from 1993. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's like full of grammar errors and really bad grammar errors. But this was typed on a manual typewriter, a manual typewriter. So back before, you know, Microsoft Word, back before all of that, that's what this came from. He gave me, I believe he gave me an A or A minus because I think I had to retype it and then correct the grammar errors to go from. But this was my, he was my advisor because I started in at college as a physics major, and then I left school and I came back in as in doing mathematics. But that semester that I came back in, I also took. We had to. You had to take. You had to in your general education credits. You had to take either philosophy or religion, and I chose the religion class, and that one actually sparked this journey. It sparked the journey that I was on, and because it started with what did I do? I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I don't have that. I've been looking for that copy of it. I have another copy of the Bhagavad Gita that has a lot of like commentary in it, and I'd like to find a copy of the book. I guess I'll have to go to an actual bookstore and peruse through the shelves, and to find one because it's not like it's not uncommon to be printed because that one will still be printed and it'll be in print and then go and find one that doesn't have any commentary in it that is just just the text. It was 44:44 just a second ago, and it's that, I mean, that's what the how long we were in
Oh,
in
yeah,
in
yeah.
in in the live stream, and so yeah, yeah. I know I've done all the
Something.
talking. You've just been
No,
sitting
I'm
here
sorry. I just got
listening.
distracted. Something is moving in my room that should not be moving. So I'm
What was that? Like a bug?
a tag. No, there's like a tag on a blanket, and it just like started moving out. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I like, looked at it. And there's my cat's not there. I don't know. I'm a little freaked out.
Oh,
It's all
well,
right.
I'm sure it's nothing supernatural. I'm sure that has an absolute that it can be
I'm
explained.
sure.
That it can
Just
be
interesting. It's
explained.
interesting that it was just in my peripheral vision, and then it just happened to move right now. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
get
know.
distracted
I
easily. So I
know.
apologize.
That's okay. That stuff happens to me all the time. Things are moving, or I think I see things. But when you
Well, it reminds
damn.
me of your poem from earlier when you were saying in your poem you were talking
Oh
about
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
something.
Reflection of something. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was like
kind of reminded me of that.
that
Like,
experience,
and then I looked and I'm
and
like, what?
because when I went on the other Sarah show, because we both of us had alien dreams when we were younger, and so like
Oh,
being
mhm.
like in the belly of a spaceship, and I always stocked it off as dreams, but then maybe they weren't dreams. And then so the other night when I was preparing for something to do on one of these shows, and I was listening to other podcasters, and um who's this pretty redhead? Do you have red hair?
Um, I used to dye at Auburn, so it's a little bit reddish still.
Oh, because it looks
I don't know if
brown to
she's
me.
talking.
So
Yeah,
Maria,
it's mostly
this is
brown.
Sarah, and Sarah ran across tools of fortune on um seeing is believing, but we have to look deeper as to rule out other possibilities. Yeah, I tend to try to go for the rationalistic thing. Now, what I haven't done is I should go record the refrigerator because it talks at night. It makes sounds that sound like words, and I could swear, it's like, but but it doesn't happen during the day. It happens after like midnight or so.
Hmm,
The
that's
refrigerator's talking.
interesting.
I'm sure that there was like a video that I remember doing when I don't do video editing very often because I think I talked about how much of a pain in the arse it is to do it on a phone.
Yeah, I can't even do it. I couldn't even. Well, I did it one time because I had to. Otherwise, I couldn't have my video put back up. But it took me like 2 hours to figure out how to like take out 20 seconds of my video, and then yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah. There was like
understand.
one of the videos that lives that I did, and where I actually had a caller, but it was a troll caller, and the caller called in, and we were talking about something. Next thing you know, he's dropping the N word in, and I couldn't get the thing stopped off, and it was like, oh my god, it's like, what do I do
Oh
now?
man,
Then
yeah,
I was thinking I
that's a
would go
risk you
back in.
take being the way you do it when you're like, hey, just call in.
Yeah, well, then
I
it's
haven't
like,
seen anybody do that yet. I haven't seen anybody call in on your show yet, but
well,
I'll be interested to see.
I was kind of spooked by that since then, and
Yeah, I bet.
it can be your clear audience spiritual message sent through divine whispers sent through the refrigerator.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Yeah, that would go right in hand with if I go record that stuff off, and then tomorrow night when I do talk to me and I talk about a little bit about spiritual psychosis, I can really demonstrate spiritual psychosis to everybody that I am experiencing, that it's really what's really going on inside my head is nothing spiritual. It's all in my head. And yeah, and so I could do that. I can do that, and then I can yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll try to remember that to go record that. Maybe I'll do it
Well, I
like
mean, look at Moses and the burning bush, right? Like
yeah. Well,
most
I
people
think
probably don't think that was real, but
it's probably all pure mythology, because that's also where my
I don't know about that.
yeah.
God can do crazy things. I've
I
seen it.
know.
I've experienced it.
Okay, channeling the
But
fridge. LOL. Yeah. So you journal stuff like that going through. Yes, channeling the fridge. The channeling fridge. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I do run. I run on that other approach. The science, the more rationalistic approach. That's how I approach it. And so,
yeah,
everything. And so if you look at before we went live and I talked about why I thought astrology or the stars were so important because the stars oftentimes brought death, but usually it was the comets. Why were people really interested in the comets, COMETS, not the cleaner comet, but they're spelled the same. But comet, not commas. But the fiery things that go through the sky, like Halley's
with the tail.
comet.
Yeah, come.
Comet. Say
Hmm.
say it right. Okay.
Comet.
So, Kara, you were releasing the trauma, and you were I can't talk today. Can't talk. Channeling the
Well, it's Mercury
refrigerator.
retrograde. That's Mercury retrograde right there.
Yeah,
People can't talk right.
can't
I see
talk
that a
doing
lot.
all the times. And
Yeah.
creative inspiration as well.
Yeah, I agree, Care Bear.
Yeah.
You should yeah, open yourself to it instead of shutting it down.
Well, you know what, Karen?
I mean, within reason, I guess.
Why don't you let's see? Can you see that, Karen?
I think it got smeared.
Yeah, it got smeared.
You
You
need me
can.
to be there to write. I could write backwards really, really well.
Yeah,
I should have. I should have written it down.
I wrote it backwards. It took me an hour to get it, and actually it didn't take that much.
I'm left-handed. I think that helps with
Yeah.
stuff like.
What is
Or
that phone number?
well, I'm actually ambidextrous because I do use both, but I don't write with both hands. But I use my right hand mostly for most things, but I write left-handed and eat left-handed,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm pretty good at writing backwards and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have too much. I mean, Karen also writes poetry, and because she has that English major that she worked on. I think it's
Oh, that's right. I
509.
remember you saying that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do anything when you've got rowdy kids in the background. I know that.
Yeah. I think it's that. I think it's 503 902 1176. And if somebody wanted to call in, I just you're welcome to do that. You have to call actually more than once because that's it's a Google number, and it's but I couldn't get it out of somebody else's state, so it's actually pinned into my state, but it's like nowhere near where I live. So if you looked up the no, it's nowhere near, but so you wish you could hop on, but your children are too loud. That's fine. You don't have to. There'll be other times, and then if you would do like what my great grandmother would do when the kids got too loud, she would just take a little whiskey and put it into a cloth and then hand it to the kid.
Oh, jeez.
Well, she was born in 1890.
Yeah, that's a different time. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a different time.
you
Yeah,
get
that's what you
CPS called
did.
on you if you do that
That's what
now.
you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would gosh, this would be like. I know you would love to, and just about every mother would. I mean,
Well, it depends on how your child reacted to it. I think
yeah,
might be a bad idea for some kids.
it probably
Might
would
make
be
them
because
rowdier.
I don't know. I mean, just look at my dad gave me a sip of beer when I was 5 or 6, and I thought it was the greatest tasting stuff ever.
Really,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
unusual.
There's a lot of
Wow.
those things that I thought were the greatest tasting things. That it was introduced to me early on, like the taste of tobacco. That was also something I thought was a great taste. Too early for the melatonin. They are Mercury ruled, and so yeah, yeah. Well, melatonin I heard is toxic for you. You're not supposed to have it.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that. I used to give that to my boys too at nighttime.
Yeah,
So,
I heard something recently about it. There's something with the melatonin that you're not supposed to take. It does it. I think it leads to dementia or something like that. Um,
oh, ugh.
it's just like the antihistamines do the same thing. Antihistamines,
Really?
yes,
I haven't heard that either.
antidepressants, antihistamines, all these things they do some disruption up in the brain chemistry, which
Mm.
lead to early onset of dementia and things like that.
Oh,
And
well,
and so
maybe
yeah.
that explains my issue.
Well,
I've tried, but I don't remember how many antidepressants I've been on in my life, but I haven't for years now.
yeah, I went cold
For
turkey.
many years I took lots of different ones.
Yeah, I went cold turkey off of Prozac when I was like 39.
Ooh, I didn't like my body did not like Prozac.
Yeah, the
It had
doctor.
weird side effects. I couldn't even
Yeah,
drive.
yeah, the doctor thought,
Yeah.
oh well, you got anxiety. We'll just give you this, and then I said it didn't work. I said, well, let's up the dose. Well, after like the third upping of the dose, I said, screw that. I went off the damn drug.
Yeah.
6 months later, I had the withdrawal symptoms, and it
Oh
lasted for a
wow.
while because it was like cause it stored it in your fat, and then I was like losing weight and losing weight, and then I went nuts for about a few months, and it was what brought me back into reality was a friend who introduced me to contra dance,
Okay.
and the contra
And now I
dancing.
know what that is. So
Now you know what it is, and
well, I
contra
know it's
dancing.
we call it square dancing where I live. So
Well, it
I'm familiar with
was.
square dancing, but I've never heard of contra. I realize
Well,
that maybe it's a little different, but
well, it's a little bit different than
similar.
it's. Yeah, square dancing is a bit different because square dancing is four couples.
Yeah.
It's 8 people, and contra dancing you are progressing. It's your people are lined up in lines, and so you dance up, you do those types of moves, and you're going up and down the line and coming back, and so you dance with everybody, just like with because
Oh,
contra dance came first, and then square dancing came out of contra dance. And square dancing, and so contra dancing came from France and England, and I think that's where it came from, and maybe it came from one of those two countries, but it came from when it came to America, it came from both of those countries. The French
okay.
did contra dancing, and the English did contra dancing, and I think it's probably 500, maybe 500-600 years old, and I don't know where the origin of that form comes from. So you used to go out a few nights without, if I'm like, yeah. Oh,
But she's
okay.
talking about her boys. Yeah.
Her boys, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, and
Boys
so
have lots of energy.
yeah, and so doing that contra dancing, it kind of was really fast paced. I don't like going to fitness centers and stuff like that. Your Taurus son can fall asleep without it, and so okay, yeah. Well, they're the kids. They want to stay awake for everything because they've been, you sleep a lot, and then next thing you know, you're this whole brand new world is full unfolding out in front of you. So you
Oh,
twin
your twins are
girls, and
girls. Okay. I
hmm,
thought they were boys for some reason.
yeah,
Are they Geminis then?
and that's right because Karen is an astrology expert too. Well, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert, but
Well,
I'm very
I
interested.
say that, and she would probably say she wasn't an expert either. I said that, but so Gemini,
Okay.
Sun, Virgo, rising. Okay, all right.
My younger son is a Gemini, so they got a lot of energy.
Hmm. Well, I am an Aries, but I was born on the Aries Pisces cusp. What do we got here? I don't think there's anything in this that no. I don't want it to. That's why I read from one of those papers, and man, this I think is all of the papers. It may not be all of them, but yeah. Oh, and the first piece of. No, I don't want to read that. But you know what? I will go back because Karen wasn't here in the beginning, and this here was some of my first stuff that I wanted to read from, and I wrote it in the book. And this is from I started writing like the fall of 1994 is when I started writing it, and I finished it early in '95. And let's see if that one thing. Let me just read one of those things. Read one more thing, and then because we're starting to ramble here, and looks like that's missing a page. All right, I'll read this. Just in case Jeff would happen to look in, and might be where the fiery side comes from. Whose fiery side? Do I have a fiery side?
No, she's talking about her twins.
Oh, her twins. Okay.
They have their Venus and Aries, she said. I think. Venus. Yeah.
No, I don't want to read that. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I
Hey,
can't. I
now
can't. I can't. I can't do it.
if
I
I
can't.
could do it, if I
Yeah,
could do it,
but
anybody could do it.
yours was really good. This is like really cringe. It's
But
really
it's really good.
bad.
This roles are like
It's really
bad.
bad. I swear. I swear it's really
Well, I
bad.
wanted to ask Karen. I wanted to ask Karen a question. Karen, are you? Did you say you live in South Carolina? I think you said you live in South Carolina. I was going to ask you if you've ever. Yeah, don't judge yourself. That's right. Just share. I shared mine, and mine's like I didn't even. Okay, so I wanted to tell you, I made an oracle deck one time. I have it here, and this was one of my cards. Have you ever been to this fountain before? The pineapple fountain. It's on my bucket list. I want to visit the pineapple fountain.
Why don't you show your Oracle deck off while I look
Mm.
through this book and
It's in
find my
Waterfront
courage
Park.
to go. Just the one card.
Well, that's the one I wanted to show Karen because it has. This is in South Carolina, so and I really want to go there. So I was wondering if she'd ever been there because it just looks cool. I don't. It's just a fountain.
All right.
Yeah. Here's some of my
All
cards.
right. All right. I'll read it here.
Okay,
So
I'll
she
stop.
asked, "Where is that? Where is the pineapple? Where's it at?"
It's in Charleston at Waterfront Park.
Hmm. She says maybe she's
Yeah.
been there.
I don't think it's probably that as cool as it is to me. For some reason, I just really like it.
Hmm. All right. All right. This goes out for Tarot Ask Backwards, and I'm gonna tag him in there. I had another vision, this time in a dream. This dream came to me twice, a few months apart, the first more terrible than the last. It was like no other dream, so I knew it didn't come from me. Perhaps it was prophecy or a reflection of today's reality. A tall man with red, deceitful eyes came up to a group of my friends. He talked with us for a while and said, "Make this one little thing for me, and I'll make you rich beyond your wildest dreams." At the mention of money, their eyes popped and they asked, "Where do we sign? Where do we sign?" He turned to me with greedy eyes, and I said, "No thanks." Trembling in fear, I backed away. I ran. An old friend came up to me, richly dressed in silver and gold. He talked about a new get rich quick scheme. Make this gadget, make this gadget, and you can become like me. It won't hurt you. It's for a good cause. No, thank you, I said. I'm fine the way I am. While walking away, I remember his eyes, blank and dark like a dead thing. He united the world under one economy. The people rejoiced and praised him in their new-found peace and prosperity. They built him a great, great city high upon a mountain top with a glorious palace of gold in the sky. His palace had a bridge descending through the clouds to the city below. He sat in his throne like a god, smiling over his handiwork, avidly watching, searching for the Gentiles, greedy to bring more souls into his newly established domain. Everywhere I went, it was the same. People were slaving away. I was always in a state of terror. I felt watched, distrusted, because I was not partaking in the busyness that consumed all the people. The evil eye was watching, always watching. At first, people were happy with their newfound wealth, but after they were hooked, their lives were drained away. I was restless. The pressure to conform was crushing. I hung on to my life in desperation. The light that guided me was getting dimmer by the day. I was on the run, moving from place to place, finding others like me, trying to find comfort in this dead world. Where was God? I cried. God was dead, pushed out of people's heart by this evil one. The whole world was shrouded in a strange darkness. The sun hung low on the horizon, dark red in color. It no longer provided any warmth for our weary hearts and minds. Hope was a feeling of the past. I prayed for God to end our sufferings and take our lives away, but no one was home. Out of desperation, we journeyed to the throne city thinking he needs to be destroyed. I was beyond fear. I no longer cared if I lived or died. All I wished for was to see the light of day one more time, to feel the sun on my back and be warmed from the inside out. We walked through the city streets, stepping in and around puddles and rivers of blood that flowed down from the palace above. We could hear the cries of pain echoing in all directions from people working his machines. The people were no longer people. The people were zombies. The people walking around in emptiness of their materialism, crushed by the weights of consumption and gold. His priests were everywhere in robes of red. Their eyes shone with unearthly glows like hot coals. They spotted us. We ran through many city streets, hiding behind an old building. When I looked around, I saw a horror. Countless bodies piled up in a garbage heap, twisted and broken in various stages of agony. Each face, arm, leg told the story of how they had served him. This was the fate of the faithful.
Wow.
That was a recurring
You wrote
dream.
that?
Yeah, it was a recurring
That's
dream.
really good. I like
Yeah,
that. I mean, it's kind of, alarming, the subject, but it reminds me of I don't know, it reminds me of like the apocalypse or like Revelation, or reminds
yeah,
me of, it makes me think of like current times,
yeah.
of like the way things
Well,
are going. Hmm.
current times are all times. All times are current times.
It's true.
That's what history says, anyways. Yeah, the so that makes you think of Babel too. Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's kind of where tarot, where some people are at right now. They're kind of in that state of mind, and um, I've been in that state of mind. I don't really want to be there anymore. Is that whole looking in and seeing that because that river and current of energy is always present. It's always present with us. And if you go there and look in there, and you'll see that kind of stuff. Every generation has its devils and its demons, and every generation has that, and it's always it's just there. And anyways, why don't you read your poems again? Those three.
What?
Yeah, so you can close the show out just like you opened it up. You can close it out with. You can do it. You can
Can
start
I
with.
just show my
You
can I
can
show my
start.
oracle deck instead? That
You can start.
oh Lord.
You're good. It's just good. It's good.
Well,
There's only the only person watching is Karen, and I'm logged in too, and then there's Maria. It's just three people. That's it. It's really only two. It's just Maria and Karen. That's the only people
all
who
right.
are listening.
All right, I'll read them again. Okay, I have 4 short poems. Okay, the first one's called Baptism by Tears. And this is about me being an emotional alchemist. That's one of the things that I do here on Earth. Okay. I'll probably read it better this time, maybe. I don't know. I have cried enough tears to flood the earth for years, but God promised to refrain. So instead, my tears have cleansed the hearts of men, and their sins have been washed away. That's the end. And then this one is called Baptism by Fire. A secret place, the Sacred Heart, kept hidden in the dark, until the moment is right when the flames of the holy fire ignite. Born again with a heart of light, all shadows will burn away, a brand new life, a brand new day. That's about having your sacred heart activated by the Holy Spirit. And then my really short one is called It's Going Down. I am Saturn, you are the moon, and the matrix betwixt us shall fall. And then my last one is the one about how I found out I was a mystic, and it's called Mother Mary. In the blink of an eye, she was standing right in front of me. She didn't speak a word, just emanated divine love like I had never felt before. What was that all about, I wondered, and went about my life. Until 30 years later, she appeared again. This time she spoke. You have always been a mystic, she said with a smile. And then, in an instant, it all made sense. The end.
Yeah. And then there's another
And that's a
rock.
true story. That's a true story,
Yeah,
by the
I
way.
believe you. I believe
That
you.
is really like how I found out I didn't even consider myself a mystic, or that was back in, but that was probably like late 2020, early
Yeah.
2021. And nobody was really using the word mystic then yet too much. I mean, I'm sure people were, but I didn't see it. I didn't
You've
see
never
people
heard
using
it.
that
Yeah.
word. And I never, well, I heard the word. I knew it, like, you hear about mystics, but like
Hmm.
from olden days or whatever. And so I never considered myself that or even thought about it. And then that's what she said to me. So,
Hmm. Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna do like I've done. Like when I first kind of met Karen was during April in a poetry month. I think I'm gonna do April Poetry Month again. I'll do set these live streams up in StreamYard, and then we can do it more like a workshop and do poetry workshop stuff. Because what part of April Poetry Month is to write a poem a day for 30 days.
oh, wow. That's a good challenge.
Yeah, yeah, I've done
I
it
should take
multiple
that challenge
times.
because,
You should do that, and they should also come in and participate. Now I will give the exercises, and you can see what you can come up with, and while everybody is so uh I think I've done on a couple of occasions. I've done complete manuscripts during that April Poetry Month, and because with my own autism spectrum disorder stuff, I would take things and be a little bit more obsessed about things, and so that one poem a day became like three, four, five, and then but they weren't they don't necessarily aren't any good, but
yeah.
listen, like last night I have a writers group that I meet every Wednesday. So when I was like trying to shuffle that guy out of the reading to shuffle that thing off is because I was punching up against I needed to make dinner, and And
Oh, we
then,
need to get to your writers.
yeah, and that was coming up next. And so I will read some of those things that I have written on my Wednesday night groups. And what did I write last night? Okay, I'll just read that. Uh, the prompt words were, so you feel like a mirror that
Yeah,
triggers others and you're working, yeah.
I am exactly the same. And honestly, it's gotten out of control. Like it's just gotten more and more as I've gotten older and whatever. And now I can't even talk to most people
Hmm.
without them like projecting back onto me or like I don't know.
Hmm.
It's yeah, I feel yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us that's our part of our mission here, you know,
Hmm.
is to be a mirror.
Okay, so this is what I wrote last night. Let me see if I might have to do some edits right on the way. Okay, Tony wore a tattered suit to the interview at the student union. He handed his resume to the hiring manager, who was a stiff, straight arrow. Tony looked like Dick Van Dyke. On the job, he was with motions as he sat loose with his motions as he sat down across from the boss. The boss glanced up, disappearing. Uh, the boss I can't read my own. The boss glanced up, disapproving of the hope weaved into the words on the page. A rich man showed up for a dishwasher job, looking poor. The boss opened his mouth and nothing came out. Rigor mortis set into Tony's relaxed demeanor. The boss asked about the work history. Tony swallowed hard. A lump barely moved down his throat. Tony creaked out a whisper, a whimpering. I work nights. Doing what? The boss asked. Tagging corpses. Tony eked out a smile, then handed the boss their names. This is just a general creative writing thing. It was supposed to be funny, but I guess it wasn't. It's
It just sounded intense, like tagging corpses and
tagging
I was
corpses.
just like
Yeah,
really focused. Sorry.
that's fine. Let me just see if I can find something else. Let's try this one for the week before. No, not that one. All right, let's try this one. It was a disaster. The winner of the Impact Magic contest lost a finger. The finger cutter was supposed to give the illusion of a guillotine knife slicing through the finger. Jed played the trick like a pro, like it was supposed to happen that way, dressed as a peg leg pirate with a hook for his left hand. He carried on as if nothing happened, with blood oozing through a black handkerchief. The audience laughed and applauded at his antics. When the curtain went down, he retreated into the dressing room. Alone, he howled in pain. The announcer called him back to the stage to give him the $1,000 prize, but Jed passed out. Jed had passed out. Luckily, the doctor at the ER was able to reattach his finger, but full function was not restored. He asked him, "Was your finger worth $1,000?" The bill came out to 10,000.
That's funny but sad.
Yes, funny but sad, huh?
It's like I want to laugh, but I feel bad laughing and yeah.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah,
that's
your
that's that's
poetry is like very like really makes you think, you know.
well, that was his little short poem story. I have I have lots of I don't haven't really done straight poetry here for a while. Um, but that's what that I think we'll just do that in April. So it'll be every Thursday. We'll just come in and we'll do like a workshop thing, and then hopefully other people, if they can come in, and if there's like four people, because I can, with the free version of StreamYard, I can put up to six people, I think, on it. But I think it would work with this format. Four would work perfect because then it'll look like Hollywood squares. It'll be like one square here, there, and there, and be
Yeah,
four squares. And yeah,
Foursquare. Yeah,
yeah,
we can call Foursquare poetry.
yeah, that's right. Anyway, so that's all we got for today. I read from stuff that I hadn't read out loud, and then and Sarah here read a few poems, and
Yeah,
that she wrote just recently, and though she forgot that she used to write poetry, and so she's trying to be
yeah,
less shy and maybe talk more, and eventually maybe she will. And so
yeah. Well, I just have a huge fear of public speaking and
hmm
social anxiety and stuff. So, like to do, and like I said, I've never even in my whole life been able to read one of my poems out loud in front of another person, not ever. So this was like a really big deal for me.
yeah, all right, well,
So thank you, Bill.
you're
Thanks for
welcome, you're
pushing me
welcome.
outside of my comfort zone
Push.
and reintroducing myself to my the poet within.
Oh, everybody's looks braver than they are on the inside. It takes
That's true. I do. I mean, I yeah.
you know, everybody, a lot of people are really insecure about, even like you hear like the professional actors talking that way. I think it was like, was it Tom Hanks, or it was like one of those high level, oh no, it was George Clooney.
Mm,
George Clooney did this interview, and he was going out and doing a Broadway musical kind of, or maybe it was on a doing live theater on Broadway, and he talked about how nervous he was, and then everything, because almost all of his work as an actor was romantic comedies, and then now it's like he's doing something that wasn't that, and he was really, 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 really nervous about it. And then, when you read these stories about the professional actors, or how often, or they get, before they go do a show, they end up vomiting backstage because they're so nervous they can't, and you don't really think about that when you see the movies, or you go to a play and you see that, you don't think that that person may be terrified in that moment, or they have
mm-hmm.
to take like beta blockers, or they have to take some kind of a
Yeah.
drug or something in order just to be there, be there. Because I've gone out on stage and had literal panic attacks where people could see me visibly shaking,
Yeah.
and but it's yeah. So singing does that to me. I blank up. Yeah, I had like I was in college, and I was playing rhythm guitar in the jazz band, and during one of the performances I had a solo, and somehow I did it, but people could see that I was shaking, and then they said, "Oh yeah, you're shaking. Your panic attack added to a special kind of a vibrato to the
Yeah.
guitar." And they said, "Oh, we just thought it was all part of the
Wow.
act, or
Yeah.
whatever, but you were
Yeah.
you were just having a massive panic attack, and a massive panic attack." And but what was, when we first came on, or before we came on, we talked about, when you're a kid, you have an idea of who you are, but when you start to grow up and you grow up into adulthood, that idea completely changes. And so when I was a kid and I did theater and I did stuff like that, and I never had panic attacks. It
Wow.
was like, didn't have stage fright. I didn't have stage fright until after I was like 21 or 22.
Oh wow. I
Yeah,
always wanted to be in a play in high school, but I couldn't do it.
yeah.
I literally couldn't do it.
hmm Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And then
interesting. I wonder why you weren't nervous when you were younger.
I don't know. And I don't know. I don't understand. And so when I did in I did theater at a community college. I didn't have any stage fright issues there either.
Hmm.
But then it wasn't until the next level. And then when I was 35, I did 34, 35, I did community theater. and I did two plays. I did King Lear and I did Roger, and I did Cinderella. And Cinderella was a musical. It was the first time, you know, I was well, I didn't quite. I think I don't know if I don't think I auditioned for it. The person who got me a role in it, he says, "Well," I said, "I can't sing," and he says, "Sure you can. You're in the back halls here, and you're singing all the time in the stairwell." And so when I said, "Well, all right, I guess I've heard you. You can sing." And then and anyway, I got a role in a. I was it was a bit part, and I had to learn how to dance, and I was like had this experience with this my dance partner. She was like 16, and she was said, Bill, you have to learn how to lead. This it's your job to lead the dance. It's not my job to lead. I'm not the goddamn lead here. You are, and it's like so you got to do the leading work, and so so I was doing that, and so while I was doing a waltz, we had to do these singing these songs and all this, and you're
Oh
dance
wow.
doing all this stuff, and that was like the first time singing in public was singing in the choir, and then when I moved up to Seattle, I sang in a Catholic gospel choir, and then there were that was fun. I did that for like 6 almost 7 years, and but there was like one time they said, Bill, you can't clap. You're not allowed to. Don't be clapping. Your clapping is throwing us all off. Maybe I was doing it deliberately, clapping a half a beat slow or half a beat fast. Clap. They would clap, and then we, and then it was just a little bit just to throw people off, and whatever. What I did, I think I did it deliberately. I think I did. I think I
You're
did
a trickster.
a
Yeah.
trickster, a little bit of a trickster thing, and deliberately clapping off, but. And yeah, I says, Bill, no more clapping, no more clapping, no more clapping, Bill. So you're tapping into your Queen of Cups now, feeling emotions rather than thinking. Yeah, so yeah, late bloomer. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get off and go take a walk or do something like that. It's not pouring right now, and
That's good.
yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on with me. I
You're
know that
welcome.
you're going to come on again sometime, but I'm not quite sure when. Um, you know, maybe in a
Well,
couple weeks.
maybe for the poetry then.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. We can do that, or in a couple weeks, do something else, but we'll have you. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll schedule you on as a on-screen moderator while I'm doing my uh, uh, card drawings.
Okay.
Just you be the one that entertains people while I'm doing stuff.
Wait, like so I'd be on this like we're on the screen now, but you'd be
Yes,
reading the cards, and then I
exactly.
would be like commentating on the. Like I
Yeah,
could
I don't know.
I could
Maybe,
like
maybe.
put my interpretation in. I'll be like, oh, maybe
Well,
there's.
it would be like, okay, I did thought about this. It'd be like, oh, it would be it's the pretty face that draws everybody in.
Well, I don't think I think I'm past my prime. I think I'm past that, but
Oh, well,
we need a
okay,
younger model.
a younger model, huh? Anyways, that because
I
it
can
gives
engage
you,
the chat though. I could do that. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit, a
That's
little
fine.
bit. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure something out. I don't. But yeah, engage in the chat. Yeah, I've been meaning to have somebody coming on. Oh, Chaz. See
Oh,
Chaz?
thank you.
Thought you were very pretty. He comes
Oh,
on
thank you.
right by
Well, I
right.
mean, I'm not. I haven't totally lost it yet, but it's when it starts to go, you go, oh, this it's over. It's all downhill from here.
Is it?
Well, for
Well,
women, I think. I don't
I
know. Maybe
guess.
I'm just whatever. Maybe I'm just too vain or whatever. But
Well,
oh, thank you, Karen. That's so nice. And I think I can relate to you a lot.
yeah. So we
Maybe
have
when you
to.
come on if you come on for the poetry or something, we
Yeah.
could.
See, Chaz says you're fine. I think you're fine.
Thanks, Dan.
I think
Well,
you're fine.
thank you.
I
That's
think
nice. Thank you.
when you're playing
Appreciate it.
this YouTube game thing is like because YouTube is so hard. It's like you know most people see you're like in the same ballpark age group as Karen is.
Yeah, I'm just a couple years older
Well, you
than
know
Karen.
what? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I want to so but I'm going to do something next week on the show here. I'm going to ask Jeff if he wants to come back. He was out sick for a while, but yeah. So we're not old. No, no, we're just seasoning.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know. Once I hit 45, I was like, oh, this is that's when I felt old. 45.
45.
I was like, because then I was like, I'm halfway to 90, and then I just felt old after that.
Hmm.
But I'm always young at heart. I'm always be young at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Leo rising, so that helps.
We are in our prime. That's right. We're in the prime. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, this was my kind of a poetry thing, but I think that it would be nice. I'm gonna probably come back and do something a little bit more in depth on it as far as exactly because would get in trouble where I got in trouble with a lot of people was that in not looking at scriptures as though they were the um as they were like channeled words. I don't know, whatever. I got in trouble for that all the time and for people.
On your show or what? Where
No,
did you?
no, when I was
Oh, like
younger.
in the church?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
right,
Uh,
because they want you to think of it as literal,
literal, yeah,
literally the word
that,
of God. Yeah.
yeah, literal, or yeah, yeah, stuff like that. But that really wasn't. All right, Chaz. Um, yeah. I'm gonna come on. Oh, I'm gonna do something next Wednesday, next Thursday. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do something. I'll probably bring out, do something, but I got to go now and get on with my duties and so forth. And I
Yep.
do need to do a video for Tools of Fortune because I have a number of questions
Yeah, you didn't get
to
to those
that
questions
I didn't
yesterday.
get to, and I was hoping that was answering that guy's question of why I can't be all that specific as far as like the
Yeah.
dates and the times. I don't know how to answer that
Well, that's why I
question.
said I was like, you're so brave to go live, read cards live, like personal readings live. I would not. I read cards, but I wouldn't do it like that because that's too much pressure. And
Oh,
also, yeah, you're right. Like, it's hard to get specific
well,
numbers.
a lot of people
Well, plus you can't
do
really. I mean, it's all kind of, the energy is what it
subjective.
is, but but it can be affected by different factors. So,
Well, it'd be the way to do a demonstration on how that would be is to run a live program at the same time that people are drawing lottery numbers, and you try to choose numbers, random numbers in advance, and you could show that you can't do it because you can't make that kind of a predictive thing on in because this tool is not for that.
yeah.
And so
Hmm.
this fellow who was very desperate, he was very desperate to want to know what was why they about getting the job,
Yeah,
and
he
and, and,
was
and and
really
very very
persistent.
desperate, and he was running
Yeah.
that desperation energy out there. And I
Yeah.
and I and I and I and I was trying to explain that this tool doesn't work like that, and maybe it does, but if it would, I would have won the lottery years ago
Hmm.
for being able to draw those, because my I do have a set of cards that I made that,
True
and
care.
desperation doesn't
Yeah.
manifest. Yeah, that's probably why when it came up, when he was asking about these jobs, is he getting these jobs? The card said no. They just flat out said no. You're not going to get it.
Well, at least the
And
first one was maybe.
I said
The first one's
maybe
maybe.
it was
Yeah.
maybe, but it was really a big no. It was but and
Well, with so many reversals, out of the 6 cards, I think, what, 5 of them were reversed?
reversed, yeah.
So,
They were
like,
reversed.
ooh,
They were all, it was all kind of a block thing.
yeah.
And and so that just suggests that the competition is so stiff, and then you had so much of your life that was just on that, and then that's where like before I started doing my writers group, the what came into my head was you need to have compassion, Bill. You really need to, when you do this, that show, when you do that and you deal with people, you really have to have more compassion and not be, not, because you can't take this American, how we are in this country, and because we have so much privilege that it's, you know that we have so much privilege and that we have so much opportunities. We may not think we have a lot. We may think the economy is crap, but for the most part, our economy is still way, way better than it is in other parts of the world. And then, and we're job, it's like, what I think in Argentina, like the unemployment rate is at 50%. There's some places
Oh, wow.
where it's like 4 or 5 or 6 out of 10 people don't have a job. They can't get a job. It's like that is so that and so you have that competition. And then in India, which was like 1.5 billion, yeah, that, because with that, that's something that I had seen over and over again in people coming through, is they take these civil servant exams, and they have to take that exam, and then if they qualify for the exam, then maybe they get an interview. But that's what his question was all about. He had just taken those exams, and he wanted to know, is he going to get a job, and then what, and then if he doesn't get the job, then what, and then maybe he has to like mine for coal. He has to go do some job that'll completely destroy his body.
Mhm.
And that's where you're at. And so that desperation comes from that. And then you're young, and then you also have the fact is that you don't have that many choices, you don't have that many opportunities when you're in that culture, because by the time you're 30, they may not hire people in those jobs. It for people who are 30, they may only hire people who are between like 16 and 22. you
Yeah.
know I don't really know, but I'm guessing that it has to be something like that. And that where he was coming from was that he's got to do that, or you got to have this job, and then you have all that pressure. You got to get married, and I don't know that that's really very good as a society.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
That's too much stress.
there isn't a one size fits all answer, like a yes or no questions. Yeah, that's right. Because doing
Yeah.
yes or no
Mhm.
questions,
I agree.
I think that I've come to a way of doing yes or nos, but they're not really, because it was a guy out of Germany who the spread was a 3 card spread for yes and no, and then if 2 out of 2 cards are upright and one is downright, well, I call that a maybe, but he said that's a yes. And then if they're all upright, that's a yes, and they're all down, that's a no, and the 2 are down, one and up, that's kind of a no as well. And then what I do is I go through, I look at the cards and try to figure out why is it a yes or why is it a no, and look at what are the pitfalls and things that might be there. And so, anyways,
Yeah.
and I get a lot of yes no questions. And but yeah, but tarot doesn't really like yes no questions. It's not a yes no kind of a thing. And you know
Well, because it's hard to give a yes no when things are still up in the air, you know?
that's right.
Depends on people's free will and what people choose to do and how
Hmm.
the energies interact and yeah. So what and
Yeah,
because what might be yes right now, tomorrow might be no,
exactly.
you know, as things change or whatever.
As
So
things
yeah,
change,
yeah,
because things
I don't
change.
really
Yeah.
like to use tarot as yes no either,
Hmm.
personally.
Well, I don't have any other tools to use for yes no, other than, what do I flip a coin? Do I just like go reach inside and say
Mm.
yes no, or say? But then it's like, okay, started asking, doing the yes nos, because I wanted the experience of reading cards, and that was the best way to take the questions as they are, is how that experience, how it manifested. Or like one person who's been asking me what job is right for me, and I read that. I shouldn't really talk about them very much. But those are the experiences. And then there was that one, I think it was wanting to know about somebody else entirely, and I kind of got this. What came into my head was, can answer it, then maybe pull advice. Yeah, maybe I could try that. I just been sticking to this method, and I'm gonna just stick on that method. But what came into my mind first was was a story from C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, and they were asking Aslan about somebody else, and Aslan saying, "No, this is your story. Their story's their story. Their story is none of your business, and this is your
Mhm.
story, and you need to concentrate on your story, not on their story." And so that was kind of what I was trying. I need to go back, read the Chronicles of Narnia again, and to go back and to find that example, because that is something that a lot of people have this tendency. They want to know about somebody else's story, but
Yeah.
it's really hard to ferret out any information on somebody else's story, because they're not there. And how, yeah, I think that, and through your imagination, you can, you're working your way through, because we're all connected. And but it's not I don't know, it reflects
Yeah.
what they believe often. Yeah. So you're really looking at something that's not even accurate, because it has no accuracy, because you're looking at how that other person's energy interacts with your energy. And so their story is not known to you. Your story is not known to me. My story is not known to you, because my story is my story. While we are here, nothing. That's the way we run in this life. Karen's story is her story, and then we only choose to share that which what we want to share,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's a complete invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
And that's also
That
one, you know
that's how I look at it. Is it's kind of a little bit unethical to spy on somebody else's energy
yeah,
when they're not giving their consent.
yeah, exactly. And so what so yeah, yeah.
It's
But
tricky. Yeah.
a lot of times it's that it comes from that place of desperation, and that's a
Yeah.
person, they were together, and that wound is still open, and those wounds of love, yeah, especially when it's for free. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, who knows how it could be. What I would read out in those cards can be completely gibberish. It's like, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't understand.
No,
And
I know, like, last night you were saying, oh, you read you gave the message, and then you said, oh, that probably doesn't help or whatever. But the person said it did help. That but you're like, you really get into the flow, and like
hmm
when I watch you read and you really get into it, the word it's just like you're like channeling the Holy Spirit almost. You know what I mean? Like it's just stuff is coming through you, and I'm not even sure how much. I think like maybe you're not really even fully aware of all the things that you're saying because you're just. It seems kind of
yeah,
channeling.
I was in the flow yesterday because
Mhm.
of the amount of time. Well, especially because I brought that new oracle into my life, and this is my new oracle deck. It is Kyle Hill Gibron's The Prophet.
Mhm.
There's so I guess the way I'm going to do that, it starts on page 3. the first, and then it goes to 105. I think what I'm going to do is say for a person to choose a number between like 3 and 104, and
Hmm.
then they
Yeah, I like how
can
you did that.
choose a
That
page
was cool.
number, and then so it's this Oracle deck, because I like that bibliomancy, because that's
Hmm.
and then
Yeah, I
I
like when
have,
you. Well, I like when you use your missile too. Is that what a
yeah,
missile?
and that
Yeah.
works as well. I want then the third one I'm going to bring in, but I need to find the third. I'm going to bring a third one of those in, and this is the Bhagavad Gita, but this one is mostly commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and so that I just need to find a Bhagavad Gita that doesn't have any commentary in it, and then it will become an Oracle deck as well. And and do a creative Clint. Hey, it's been a long time. Yeah, you need to come back on my show too. Uh, he's over there in Labrador. He's over there clear out in Labrador, and so he came on, and we did a watercolor together, and stuff like that. And but he's been busy, and he's like, his time zone is clear. He's like 4 hours. He's like almost um he's yeah, Newfoundland, and so he's like 4.5 hours away from the Pacific time zone.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and yeah, he's a really good artist. I really enjoyed having him on that one time, and so what I need to do is come on earlier in the day, which means I need to change my sleep schedule. and and
Yeah, you're such a night
but
owl.
well, yeah, I've been a night owl forever, since I was like a kid,
Mhm.
and but that's what I need to do, is to come on earlier in the day. I've also sensed that with the Tools of Fortune channel, that I really should start that at 4 o'clock in the morning. And largely because it's how open I am.
Mm.
I'm running wide open, and when I go after midnight, I'm going like wide open, and so yeah, so so you become a night owl yourself. Here he goes to bed between 3 and 5 a.m. All right, my battery is about ready to go on this, and eventually I will be hooking this thing up into the mixture. This is a powered hub, but right now
Oh.
this cord was just kind of short, and getting it to, I guess I could do it like that without, I could getting it to, yeah, okay, I need to affix it to, my setup, and then it has a plug here for pass through charging. And
Mhm.
then back here is your Ethernet line, so you can run an Ethernet line into it. And then it has 3 USB jacks in it. Now, if I can get a longer extension cable, which I have in maybe for when it comes to my birthday, because I have a whole bunch of decks that I want to add into my life. I don't really need any more decks, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
Card
Oh,
readers.
Bill, I should see if you want any of my decks. I have to get rid of most of my stuff so
Oh,
soon. So,
well,
I have a bunch of decks I'll probably be getting rid of. I'll see if you want
I was
any.
looking at some very nuanced Oracle decks, and that's mainly what I was looking for. And then so this is this device, and then if we can go the next step, I have a 2-channel mixer, and then I can have, I should be able to do all of that stuff in here, so I can see. I attach this to this thing, and it should be able to get it to work. Yeah, yeah. I think so. I'm gonna get this online as soon as possible.
Good. Yeah, I don't know why they make that cord on that so short.
Yeah. So you have
Seems
a
crazy.
US. a few dongles. Yeah, USB-C. Yeah. So what this is, Clint, is that as I'm running on my show, it's like I have one of these dongles already. That's this that has USB jacks on it, and it has the Ethernet running through it. This one has pass through charging, and then that will allow me to um, go longer than 2.5 hours on a charge. And then, in which when you do live readings, you need to have that longer time, especially if your goals, if you are playing the YouTube game and you want to monetize your channel, because I still want to do that. I've been working on that for a few years, but
Yeah, I
I,
suppose the more you go live, the more watch time you get,
yeah.
and the
But I've
longer
been
you
I've
sit
been
live.
going I've been going backwards on this channel. This channel's been going backwards.
Yeah, YouTube is a tricky game, that's for sure.
It is, and
I failed at it.
well, no, we do what we can.
I mean, it wasn't a failure. It was for a reason, but
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, like my channel didn't go anywhere. So
Well, you know what? I'm gonna X out of here before the power goes off.
okay,
And thank you, Clint. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Maria. And thank you, Chaz, and everybody else who tuned in for even 20 seconds. You all are beautiful. Blessings and praise to you. And we'll see you the next time. I'm going to be back on tomorrow night for Talk to Me. And Mirrorless, well, if you're awake tomorrow night, Clint, why don't you come on my show? I will. I'll set it up, and I'll set it up in StreamYard, and there'll be a link in there. You can just pop in. You'll be able to pop into it if you want to. You can come on my show tomorrow night at 8:30 Pacific time, and I'll be on for roughly an hour. Anyways, I'll be on tomorrow night 8:30 Pacific, which is really late for you, and it's late for everybody. East Coast is even later for him, for Clint.
but
But
he's a night owl, so
he's a night owl too, and so if he's available 8:30 Pacific, all right. But you know what, Clint. All you'll have to do is this. You'll be able to go into this thing right from the live stream. You'll be able to. I'll put the access to the live stream in the description, and you'll just click on it, and you'll be able to come on into it. Okay, that's what I got for you. And so if you watch this on the replay, I'm sure you haven't made it this far because we've been rambling for the last half hour. So support my channel if you want to. If don't, that's fine. I don't care. And so we'll see all y'all the next time. And thank you very much, Sarah, for hanging out with me for this almost 2 hours. And
yeah.
we'll
Thank
see you.
you, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, and for
It's
reading those
good for me.
beautiful poems. And we'll see you the next
Okay,
time. Bye
okay, sounds
bye.
good. Bye.